I have 6 o'clock.
We're going to get the meeting started. If everyone would stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. I hope everyone had a good long weekend and holiday. We are going to start with signing the payroll and accounts register, which actually that has already been signed, but I'll take a motion to approve what has been signed.
Motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye. Did you want to read the numbers?
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The period ending 9/2/2025, $43,350 in payroll with $9,972 in payroll taxes, accounts payable in the amount of $31,797. There were no payments this time either to Swayze, the Coop, or the retirement system. All right. Next on the agenda is to review and approve the consent agenda. We'll delete A, which is public minutes, which are not yet ready for review. I did circulate non-public minutes to the board along with recreation manifest. Is there an actual treasurer's report? Okay. And then also building permits. So let's just see if there's a treasurer's report. So we'll delete then D and A from the consent agenda. So I'd seek a motion to approve B, C, and E, non-public minutes, rec manifest, and the building permits.
Motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to discussion action items. I understand Wayne is here with regard to salt. So I'm gonna move you up with my discretion. So come on up. Sorry. I know.
Age before beauty. All right, yeah.
Okay, I received my new price and everything here for salt, for Morton salt. We've had Morton salt now for 20-some odd years. And their price went from $69 a ton to $71.65 a ton. Okay? Last year I put in for 2,250 ton, and I used 2,850 ton during the winter last year. But I also had half of Three Ponds Campground that we did. I mean, this is all estimated how many storms we get. I might get more, it might take more, or it might take less.
And I'm sorry, can you say again, what was the experience last year in terms of used tonnage?
I used 2,850 ton.
Thank you.
And this year, doing what I gotta do, I'm gonna get the rest of Three Ponds Campground, the sand and salt inside. I have the whole thing in there. And I believe on South Road, I forgot the name of the development there. You guys did a site walk down there? Tanya. Okay, Tanya. So if I get that, so I'm gonna need salt probably for there. So what I was thinking is that if I could raise that up to 3,000 ton, and just go with it, go with that, so we have the extra
And you don't have to take it, right? It's only if you, it's only
only if it,
if you need it.
if we use it.
Mhm.
I'm hoping actually, the Three Pond Campground, it's not too bad in there. It's all wide open, so to play that right in there, I might not use as much salt as what I'm thinking of to do, because it's pretty open. During the day, I wait till a little later when it gets warm enough, then go in and just hit it. And, because a lot of times when I plowed it, when I come back, it was already started to melt.
Right.
I won't have to use too much salt.
Yeah.
Just to have enough to, just in case we do. And I don't, like I said, I don't know how many snowstorms we're gonna get this year. We might get more.
I thought you had a good line with the guy upstairs, no?
Oh, yeah. Well, I get along with all those guys down there. Oh, yeah. Hey, what do you,
So 71.65 per ton, I'm sorry, and
Yeah.
3,000 tons, so if I'm doing
Yep.
my calculation correctly, that comes out to almost 215,000?
yep.
Okay.
I came 214,950.
That's,
Okay?
I added $50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Can I make a motion?
And that's within your budget, right?
He hasn't
Well, it'd be
made his
next year's
budget
budget.
yet.
Next year's budget?
Next
Okay.
year's budget, next year's budget.
Okay.
Now, right now, what I have, I'll tell you, I have like $37,000, I think, left in my budget for sand, salt, and co-patch. That's what I have left right now, but I gotta fill up the salt shed, and that's gonna take quite a bit. And to fill that up, and also I'm gonna have sand coming in, and I'm hoping that will take care of what the sand, and this year's sand, instead of putting it all out there now, Chris Beebe's gonna haul it in. He's supposed to give me a price. I haven't got it yet from him, but we're gonna haul it during the storm when he's gonna haul it so it don't freeze. We'll just dump it and use and just estimate as we go with that. So I'm hoping that 37,000 will get me right up full, and then after that, I can start on this here, and this money will also fill up, get next year's
Sure.
winter.
Yep.
Do you know what last year's budget then was?
We had cut it because we,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was cut.
No, for the full salt.
Yeah.
What? 45,000.
Yeah.
Well, no, can't
I don't
because
have-
we just did,
no, because we
It
encumbered
was
money.
100, I had down 170,000, but then it got cut down, and we got 45,000. That's what I'm playing with right now. And I got 37,000 left in there. Wasn't 100, did you have that? Wasn't it 100? I had down 170.
We just
I think that's-
encumbered the rest of your contract, I think.
I think it was like 107. Sounds right.
so if it was 170, then we're talking about a $45,000 increase?
No, you cut it down to 45,000.
Well, yeah, that was because we had encumbered, monies to pay
Money,
for it.
right.
But the contract was originally for 170.
170.
So price went up and we're expecting more, so.
Yeah, I was gonna make a motion that we let him sign the contract, then we can figure out later if we want to encumber into next year or not, like we did this time.
But
Okay. You want to make that motion?
Yep, I make a motion that you sign that contract for 3,000 tons.
second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
And that.
Anything else, Wayne?
Oh, no, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
I'll send it out tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Daphne, you're up next.
He knows the guy upstairs.
He knows the guy. Okay,
And apparently a few others.
so to start with, I wanted to talk about a new voting machine. An additional voting machine, I should say, not new. The new voting machines are slower than the other machine that we had because of the technology. It wouldn't have mattered which machine we got, they're much slower. So we do need to get a second one because God forbid we had more than 4 ballots. People will be in line all night just trying to put their ballots into the machine. So the machine itself is $7,500. I will this year have $1,500 left over in my budget from the tax collectors conference that I don't have to pay for this year because I'm the president, which was a surprise to me. Not the president part, the part of not paying. So I'm looking for if we have $6,000 somewhere that we can get a machine. We need to get it, order it by November to get it here for March.
Okay. Question is, do we have $6,000 somewhere in our budget in general? I don't know the answer to that, to be perfectly honest with you, but it's something that we can certainly look into and get back to you on.
Wayne might.
I was just gonna say, Wayne, how much you got left?
There might be in the general government, but that's something that I couldn't answer for you right at this very moment.
Okay,
But we have until November 1st, did you say?
at least until November, yes. Yep,
All right.
How much did you say it was?
it's gonna be
6,000.
$7,500.
So there's 80,000.
Julie Stevens, our finance person, will look into that and we'll have further discussion next time.
Okay, sounds good. So you'll let me know next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and how much extra is per election would it be?
So it's an additional, each machine, it's $500 to program each machine per election.
Extra $500.
Per election.
Per election. So if we have 5 elections, which really we should have all of the elections, all 5 put in the budget every year. Considering now we have tax cap, if we go SB2, whatever the story is, so that it can't be, we have to pay for those things, so that's a situation.
Okay. And then it looks like there was some other issue,
Yes.
a property issue.
A property issue that I questioned, I actually brought to the planning board because we had an individual register a vehicle at an address that does not exist in Brentwood. However, the post office believes it exists and included that. I did speak with the fire department, because I think that that's where it starts, and they had not sent that over to be approved as an address. And I think what has happened is there's a home and a mobile home on this property as well, and they have separate map and lots, and I think somebody has been using a different address as the mailing address.
Is this the couple that was
basically.
here last week? Someone
Nope.
different? Okay.
This is on Middle Road. And I'm actually, Mark has a bunch of stuff that he would like to talk to you about it. If you want to come on up here.
Mark
What-
Kennedy, do you have like further clarification?
Well, what is being suggested to us? Like, do you have a recommendation? Oh, Mark has a recommendation. Okay. Okay.
I'll walk around and use this while I hand these out. So what I'm going to give you is a document created by Adrian Summers, our assessor. And within that document, you'll find a recommendation of what to do in this particular instance. What you'll find is 60 Middle Road has a farmhouse on it, and it also has a manufactured house on it. Now, that's existed for a very long time. I've gone through the paperwork, and I cannot find anywhere in the paperwork where the actual legal address of 62 Middle exists. I don't know. Anybody? I don't know how that was created. I can only find that address attached to one deed. But in an area zoned for single-family dwellings, you can't have two tax cards. So what I have here in my hand is a tax card, lot number 212-040-001. And then the tax card for 60 Middle Road is 212.040-000. The 000 usually is what's called a mother lot. And then if you subdivide it, you get a sister lot ending in 001. Contained in the file of 001, there's only a tax card that has the manufactured house on it. This shouldn't exist. What needs to happen is the recommendation by Adrian. This tax card should be brought into the 60 Middle Road tax card and be designated an ADU. Why should this not exist? For a multitude of reasons. This is all hypothetical and theoretical, but say they stop paying the taxes on the manufactured house and then you take it. Well, now the town of Brentwood's left with a manufactured home that you have to remove from a piece of property. So it really should brought in to be in compliance to the tax card for 60 Middle Road this should melt right into it. This assessed value should melt into that. And then the address should be changed to 60A to reflect the manufactured house.
So Mark, .001 has no land with it, it's just the,
Correct. Correct. It has a total value of $13,000 with no land value at all.
Okay, just a structure.
Correct.
Okay, that's
This
odd.
shouldn't, I don't know how this happened. That's why I brought all this paperwork with me. I've gone through it. I can't find anything that tells me when 62 Middle Road was created. Theoretically, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist with the fire department, but it exists with the mail. You get mail there. There's a mailbox out there. And typically how that happens is you go to the fire department first, and that's the first step in creating an address. And once it enters that system, it kind of branches out from there.
And is that standard, though, to then categorize it as 60A when the primary is 60?
Yeah, I mean, I speak from my personal experience. My ADU is A after my address, yes.
because it's the same lot.
Right.
Yes, but that keeps you from designating it a different lot, right? If you have, so this could be sold. It has a separate tax. So what do you do then? It has no land to it. It's like a weird condo thing that could happen that you just don't want happening in your single family.
I don't know who would buy it, but okay.
Huh?
I don't know who would buy it.
Stranger things have happened.
True.
I make a motion that we accept the assessor's recommendation.
So the assessor's recommendation is to delete
62.
.001 and to reclassify it as part of 212.040.000, and then recharacterize the address from 62 Middle Road to 60A Middle Road, and with a notification to the current owner upon approval. Is that my did I articulate that properly?
That's how she has to listed out.
Okay.
And the value would have to be added to the mother lot.
Yeah, and then they could do what they wish. They could rent it, you know what I mean, but it designates that manufactured house as an asset of the main property. It shouldn't be separated out as assets.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Can we ask the assessing office if they could write that letter for us?
Yeah, I bet she would.
Need a motion from you and then she'll take care of the rest.
Perfect. Can you make sure that that happens, Julie? Okay. You want to send it over for me to take a look at, or, you know? Yeah, that's fine. All right. Before we go too much further, I did, and I meant to do this at the beginning, I did want to make an announcement that Andy Gray tendered his resignation at the end of last week, right before the holiday. He is moving on to another position much closer to home in Somersworth, so that works out for him. The effective date of his departure will be September 11th. So we will need to post the position for Recreation Director. While I'm also discussing positions, we did terminate the Welfare Director, and that was at our non-public last week. And we ended up appointing Laura Hajar in the interim as Welfare Director until we can obtain a new Welfare Director, which position should be posted as well. Yes. And I think Andy Artimovich.
My mic was off.
Yeah, Andy Artimovich, I think, stated the obvious to me, to let people know, to the extent anyone doesn't know, that Andrea Hansen, our town administrator, tendered her resignation, and that was effective I want to say August 20th. Yep, August 20th. And we have the position of town administrator posted as well. So those are my announcements. Moving right along, Julie Stevens, our finance director, is here to speak about finance, and then also policy, procedure, and roles.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I just wanted to start just giving you a heads up that Ambrose and myself are attending a financial policy certificate program through the New Hampshire Municipal Association starting tomorrow, and it's 1 day a week for the next 5 weeks. There's 8 classes. A couple of those are half-day classes, so it's not, that's why it's not 8 weeks. If anyone wants to know what we're going to be learning all about, I have this here. You can feel free to peruse it, or I can make you copies if you want as well. I can read what they are as well. Next week, tomorrow is internal control, segregation of duties, fraud and risk. The next class is policies for operations and budgeting, fund balance policy, revenue policies, expenditure policies, investment policy, debt policy, and capital planning and fiscal capacity. So that's what we will be learning about. Second thing on my list is, I'm recommending that we start paying a lot of vendors. I've identified at least a couple of dozen of them electronically rather than with checks. For a number of reasons, it's more efficient, it's safer, less chance of fraud, it's quicker. It'll also save us money on the actual checks and postage. I don't know if that's something you want to vote on, or if we can just go ahead and implement that. And
Frankly, I don't know. We can have a discussion. I don't know that we necessarily need a vote per se. I think it's within the discretion of the finance director. Unless
Makes
someone
sense.
has an objection.
I don't have an objection, I have a question.
sure,
Who is setting, like, who would be tied to those online accounts? Would that be you or Ambrose, or who would be?
I believe, I've talked to Ambrose about it. He talked about setting those up with the bank, and Jillian would initiate those, and they would have to they would get released as they do now by whoever's allowed to release. They would still show up on your, like we do now with, I guess we pay the school electronically and the state electronically, so they'll still show up.
I don't think they're separate accounts. It's the same account. It's just,
No, I'm
And
talking
online.
about, so it's not like where I create an account with, okay.
Nope.
Okay,
We good?
I think so.
sure.
Okay,
I think that's a good idea.
okay.
Yep.
We like efficiency.
All right, so do we. Just a recap, I met with Greg, who is the CPA, who is working on bringing us up to date with finances through 2024. He sent a update for everyone to look at. I think I have one for everybody there.
Circulate those.
You want one? There should be. Just to read through it, he has the general account reconciled through December of 2024, and he's working with the staff to identify items to conclude posting in BMSI software. He's also started reconciliations for 2025. He's working on impact fees now. He's got other, I know, ambulance revolving account and other revolving accounts that he needs to work on, but the cash accounts, he said, are reconciled through the end of the year. So he is still working on that. And once it's complete, any remaining entries will be made, and at that point, we will be ready to complete the audit, which I believe was started but not finished, is my understanding. And the Form MS 535 can be completed for the tax rate setting process. He's told me he should be done in a couple of weeks. He figures by the middle of the month he'll be done, and assures us he will not exceed the 40 hours that he was allotted. He said he's at about 30 now. I know he's coming in tomorrow, so he should be wrapped up with that soon.
And I had a brief conversation with him as well. He indicated that he would anticipated spending no more than 40 hours. If you recall, we had retained him at 125 an hour, so the total cost for the task, 40 times 125, is 5,000. And I think it puts our house, at least financially, in some reasonable order for Julie to take it from here. I guess the one question I had was it your intent to proceed in 2025, or were you going to have Greg bring things
Well, that's what I
to
was.
the present?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. He said he was planning, he thought he was intended to complete through June. I didn't know if you wanted to move forward with that, or I can start putting things in for 2025. He's asked me not to do anything to 2024, but if I wanted to start inputting data for 2025, he was fine with that.
What's your judgment in terms of, I mean, do you feel is it something that you
It's
can
something.
and should do, or have the ability, or time and ability at this?
Well, I have
point?
the ability.
Yep.
Time is a question. I'm being bombarded daily with tasks that I didn't realize I was going to have in front of me. So there is a lot on my plate, but I'm happy to work on it as I can. I guess it's a question of if you want him to speed through it. If he can do it within the 40 hours he was allotted, I would recommend he get as far as he can with his 40 hours, and then I would take it over from wherever he leaves off, would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree if you want to communicate that to him, if everyone here is in agreement with that.
Mhm.
So we can communicate that to Greg.
Sure.
Okay.
The other thing he reviewed with me, which was the New Hampshire DRA website, where a lot of the information is inputted, which will then essentially be used to set our tax rate. And in doing that, he reminded me or told me that, because this portal was not in existence when I had to do this 15 years ago, that the MS 434, which is the revised estimated revenues, and the MS1 are due now. And he said it's not a big deal if it's late, but I hope to have those finished by next Tuesday and entered in on that website.
The MS one, we got an extension for,
Okay.
or Adrian did it, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. Also, in reviewing that, he was looking through the users who have access to that and brought up that Letty, I know you are on there, and he was a little bit concerned that you had administrative access to that.
Well, I guess if you're going back to last year,
So if he would recommend it just be changed to view only if,
that's fine.
okay,
Yeah, I was probably just that way since last time.
okay.
In terms of access, that should be a finance
Right.
director responsibility for you
Yes.
to access.
Yeah, because
Okay.
we don't want access to go in and change anything that's been entered. Okay,
So
I
you
will,
will make that so.
yes.
Great.
Let's see. We've started having conversation, Jillian and Ambrose and myself, about responsibilities, financial responsibilities, delegating who's going to do what. One thing we've identified is that right now Jillian is the only one who can do payroll and accounts payable, which means she can't ever be sick or take time off. So she is training me.
You heard that, right? Okay.
She is training me as a backup in both of those areas, so that will be a weight off of her shoulders, I would think, so that she'll know it'll get done. Also is Ambrose currently is the only one who can sign checks. So we need to look at having a backup for that. I could be set to be a signer on the account is one option. The other option would be to get a deputy treasurer, which I know we've had in the past. So I guess I'll leave that up to you, or we can have some discussion about, or if Ambrose wants to give any input into that.
Just wondering if statutorily we can have, Julie do that as a backup versus having a deputy.
Well, her separation of duties class should teach her
I don't,
that.
Actually, yeah, if you are able to input invoices and paychecks and stuff, then you probably shouldn't also be able to sign.
yeah, well, I figured as long as I wasn't, if they weren't both out, I wouldn't be
Doing both.
doing both.
I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, if you want to find out that information.
sure.
Sure, that would be great.
And I don't think it would hurt to appoint a deputy
If you can.
treasurer at some point.
If you can.
At
find
some
one.
point,
can
we
find
we
one.
have a lot of positions that we're.
No, I understand, but
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree.
Did you,
Not to interrupt you,
Come on down,
your
Amber.
flow, but Ambrose, did you have? Yep. So
Hello?
Treasurer, Ambrose Keys.
Yep. So to Letty's point, segregation, and I think a couple of you have noted, segregation of duties is paramount, and we thought about it, but having Julie be able to sign on the checks in place of a deputy, if we didn't go that route, is that she'll only sign, just like I do, based off the AP manifest. So as long as you have approved AP, at that point, anybody that has signing authority can sign those checks. So there's really, she still cannot go in, and obviously I can see the weak point, but she can go in, for instance, pay herself, and then probably ask you to approve payment to herself, and then signs the check. That would be like a little
Fraud.
weakness. Yeah, but but obviously,
Yeah.
obviously there's not going to be points where we are all out and she has to sign. And if that happens, then I think there'll be the AP manifest that, we can always fall back to and make sure that, but obviously at some point, like you say, might need a deputy treasurer or appoint somebody, but
I do think until we resolve that, we should have a second signer, just God forbid something happens, that we can continue the function of the town.
So at present, there's only one signer, Ambrose.
Have we removed all the previous signers? Does anyone know?
Have all
Are-
previous signers been removed, Ambrose? Are you the only signer? You are the sole signer.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
The chair.
So they haven't been removed, but they've been made inactive. And the reason for that is if you wanted to go back in time to look at who did what, you could still pull that information. If you delete them or remove them completely, then you don't have that history. And I mean to the bank accounts. So they have been made inactive and they can't access the accounts, but
Cannot.
inactive.
access.
Yeah.
Cannot.
Do we
I
need-
move we add Julie as a signer.
I'll second that.
Secondary. Yep,
Mhm.
secondary to
Yeah.
Ambrose. Yep. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I guess I just need a little clarification about, I know part of my job description had to do with budgets, with budget responsibility, and I don't know how involved you want me to be in that. I know that Letty has sent out the request for departments to send.
Just the initial.
Yeah, and the
That's-
forms, I think, maybe to,
Right.
for them to complete, so,
Nope, there's no forms.
okay.
Historically, they just made a budget.
On a napkin.
I know I
Sometimes.
used to send out like a form with blanks and they would put in the,
I did
numbers
not
and
send
spaces.
anything like that.
okay.
So
So
in-
I,
in terms of clarification, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead.
But I think, that would be, very helpful for this board to have, Julie in that position, helping with the budgetary process and helping to present that once we get into the budget season, as well as attending those budget committee meetings that are needed for that purpose. And I know, one question is, should Julie get paid for attending budget committee meetings?
No.
I think that's part of her job. And I think that is something she should get paid for.
I was
So,
kidding.
yes, at least during the budget season.
Yeah.
I think that would be important for me.
I
to
think
go.
so as well. Because, you know, while the budget committee is certainly making their recommendations to the select board, I think it's important to have, you know, Julie as finance manager giving that information to the select board so we can be making independent decisions and determinations.
Okay.
Go ahead.
In terms of, because I think you're 35 hours currently, would you be able to do that? Go to all those meetings
Yeah.
under your current number
Oh,
of
with
hours?
this- well, it's supposed to be an average of 35, so there
Okay.
might be weeks where I will be under 35, and some weeks I'll be at 40, so
Okay.
as long as it averages, I was told,
Averages over an annual. Yeah,
right,
correct.
so that we don't go over
I
a
guess if-
budgeted amount.
If over the next couple months, weeks, you realize that it is not a 35-hour on average a week job, just let us know before we're done budgeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Well, I suspect over the next, you know, shorter term, it probably won't be, but then there'll be times where
Right.
it will be. So,
Initially, I could keep busy for
Yeah.
much more than that.
right, understood.
Lastly, Jim Hajar had sent me information. I know he was working with Andrea on the Budget Committee's health insurance sub-team, and he had asked if I would be the new point person for the contact for Health Trust. It's my understanding if I do that, I would then be the person responsible for entering new hires and so forth and getting into the HR area. And I have no interest in getting in the HR area, so I'm not sure if I should be the point person for that.
And your recommendation would be,
Whoever the next town administrator is.
in the interim, is that something that you're able to do as a point of contact on an interim basis?
Jillian's amazing, obviously, but I just think we should be careful as we're adding more responsibilities to her plate that we're taking some away because there are only 40 hours in a week.
Yeah.
So,
She has taken on a lot.
Yep.
It's been
She has.
great having Julie here.
I know you can do it, but I just want to make sure that
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Daphne, did you have a comment or a question?
So if Julie's gonna be a part of the budget process, are we sending all of our budget stuff to Julie now? Is that who we're gonna send it to? The department heads?
I think that would be a good idea. I mean, you're also sending them to the budget committee as well, correct?
Well,
they would have typically gone to the town administrator so that the select board would see them first, and then the budget committee gets them second after we make any changes or approvals.
Right. But I mean, we're trying to coordinate this together, so I don't have a problem with, you know, that going, you know, on a corresponding basis, both to the budget committee and to Julie on behalf of the select board. I mean, is there any concern about that?
That's why we hired her.
well, and I just want to be clear because I think we were also told we may not, if we're presenting to the select board, whoever the select board rep is on the budget committee is gonna present our things to the budget committee, is that correct? Are we still expected to go to all of the meetings?
I mean, the select board meetings?
No, the select board and budget meetings during that process. Because we used to present here, and then we'd have to present again at budget, and people would argue, and it's, you know, it's a lot for everyone to have to go through this now that we're starting the process so much earlier. Super fun. So I don't know if the budget committee, select board rep is going to take and
That's
present.
me, and I'm happy to do that for you if that would make things easier for you this year because of the earlier timeline. But the challenge that we might face is that if there's a specific question about your budget that I can't answer, then it just might delay things. But
I will be there as well, so if you have something in particular, you can.
Fantastic,
I
Julie,
can
thank
try to
you.
Answer any questions.
And yes, I would also say on a sidebar, Jill has a lot on her plate. And she does a fantastic job, but it can't always be, Jill, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do this. It's a lot, you know, and we do see that, Jill. Even though I ask you 40,000 questions a day, you need to be open for me, not all these people.
I would encourage, though, that, and I understand it's a lot, but I would encourage that to the extent that you're able to, do both. It only, provides, direct information to both, committees, so. Yes, Mark.
This is just food for thought, because does bring up a very good point that presenting your budget twice doesn't really make a lot of sense. Have you ever thought about having a joint meeting with the budget committee and people presenting their budgets once?
So it's possible between the select board and the budget committee that the number changes, because that happened last year quite a few times.
Well, what you do in your separate corners is fine. All I'm saying is when departments present their budget, if you could just have one budget hearing where both the select board and the budget committee are there, you present your budget, you ask questions, go back to your corners and do what you wish. It's just an idea and food for thought.
Yeah, that would be something new. I don't know that it's been done that way before, but I'm open to efficiency.
We would need a bigger room.
Yeah. Liz Faria.
Liz Faria, South Road. So Julie said she had some kind of form she used to send out to the department heads. I think you should take advantage of that. It exists.
If it was the one that you used to print out of BMSI, is that the one? Sure,
Yeah,
we
it
could
just
do
shows.
those.
I mean, it's a one more piece of information that might help. And why is it that the department heads have to come to the select board first? It's the budget committee's number that goes on the budget. Why doesn't it go to budget committee first and then come to you guys?
Traditionally, that seems to be the way it was done. I mean, I'm also, fine with the budget committee, making recommendations to the select board.
I would say because the select board is the one that runs the town.
Yeah, but the budget committee is the one that runs the money. So I don't know. I was just.
They run the number.
Right.
The select board makes the ultimate decision.
get it of how
But
to
again,
spend the money
I don't have a
for-
problem with the budget committee making recommendations as long as it's understood that the select board's going
Oh,
to make the.
absolutely,
Okay.
but they
All
do a lot more looking at the budget, so it seems more sense that they could hash out the stuff before it comes to you. It would be easier and more
I
efficient.
think part of the statement that the chair of the budget committee had made with, the select board was to do this in coordination.
Right,
This-
and when the department heads come, they only have to be there for their part of the budget, right?
course.
Before both boards at the same time.
Thank you. Anything else, Julie?
That was it.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Very much appreciated. All right, moving on to select board vacancy. There, as of August 31st, there is a vacancy in the select board per John Morgan's resignation from the last meeting. I did take a look at the statute, RSA 669:63, which indicates that vacancies in the Board of Selectmen shall be filled by appointment made by the remaining selectmen. The way it's worded, where it says shall, suggests to me that that is a requirement of this existing select board. I did also have a conversation with the Secretary of State's office, and the assistant who I spoke with there actually spoke with Mr. Scammon himself. And the confirmation was that this was something that we needed to do. There was no specific time frame, but we did have some reasonable due diligence to move the process forward. There was also, may have been some discussion with regard to who can fill the vacancy and whether that vacancy was required to be a prior select board member. The confirmation that I got back, and I didn't see anything in the statute requiring that, but the confirmation that I got back was that it just needed to be a registered voter in the town of Brentwood. So I think as we should have a discussion here, my suggestion is we should open up the process and ask for people to give us a letter of intent by a date certain, after which we could review those letters of intent and then make a decision in terms of appointment. But I'm open to suggestion.
That would have been my suggestion, was to take our committee form that we use and fill it something to that effect of interested parties have, or they can do a letter, one way or the other.
That's a form, I believe it's online, right? Okay. Yeah, I mean, however people who are applying want to do it, either by a letter or if they want to fill out the committee form and provide more extensive, because that has a lot of space in it to provide your background and qualifications and all of that. I mean, I'm happy to take however people want to submit their intent to apply. So. Today is September 2nd. I mean, I think by 14 days, at the end of September 16th, I'm thinking would be reasonable for people to get their letters in or applications. If
Could we have them by the morning of the 16th so we can talk about it on the 16th, maybe?
we could, my only concern is it doesn't give us a lot of, I mean, maybe it's plenty of time, depending on the number of
a week.
applications we get.
2 weeks, I mean,
Yeah, I think that would be fine. Maybe even cut it off on the end of the 15th.
You know, or by noon on the 16th?
and do we want them available on the 16th to talk to, or do we want to wait till the 23rd to talk to them?
I would hope that we could make a decision on the 16th.
Because we don't have to wait for every one to come in before we review them. We can review them as they come in.
We could, and I mean, we don't have to, there's no specific process that the statute outlines, so we can really dictate that process. I mean, I'm open to making a decision on the 16th if we have all the applications in by then. I mean, I'm also open to, giving us a chance to digest what we have for applications and then, doing it the following week, but I'm open to either.
I think 2 weeks is sufficient. I think we need to fill the vacancy as quickly as possible. We owe it to the voters to do that.
Okay.
What if we say that they're due by the 12th, which would give us the weekend to look at all of them?
10 days?
Well, nobody will be here on the 12th, so
Yes? It's Friday. Isn't the 12th a Friday?
12th is a Friday.
Why is no one here?
do you work on Friday? Do you normally work on Friday?
But the
She-
applications can come into the select board, right? So people can make their application directly to the select board,
So it would be emailed to the select board email address?
correct?
Okay.
Mhm.
10 days, my preference would be at least to go to the 15th, but again,
Personally, I think we should cut it off at, the night of the 15th. That gives us a full day to 16th for us to review
And we're
what
gonna get
hasn't
them
come
before
up.
that,
Right,
right?
correct.
I'm-
Yeah.
they'll come in,
I-
they'll be
I don't-
rolling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll be able to read them as they come in.
Don't expect that we'll have 50 applicants, so should be fine.
Okay,
Yeah. And then we can make a decision on the 16th?
we can do that.
Okay.
All right. that is the procedure that we set. I don't know that we're gonna change it, Liz, but if you want to make a comment, go ahead.
Liz Faria, South Road. I know of two former selectmen who have both, and they were men, so I'll say selectmen, or select people, who have both expressed an interest or are willing to do it. So I don't really know why you're waiting for 2 weeks to do that. I think you need somebody to break ties, and I think, but whatever.
Because it can be anybody.
Right.
Yeah,
So
it
there could
wasn't
be
my
somebody-
understanding till tonight that it could be anybody, but you might as well get somebody who just moved to town.
That's not what we're suggesting. We're suggesting that we go through a process that, you know, has some due diligence, and the due diligence, I think, requires at least giving people, you know, a couple of weeks to put in their letters of application.
Jillian, can we post that as we would post a normal meeting? And just,
Can we make a list of things that we're asking Jillian to do?
I can post it with the, with the statement of interest and just kind of get it, we can
Yep.
blast it on Facebook, everywhere, so.
Perfect, thank you.
And just so we're clear, this would be a vacancy that would fill the position until town meeting, and then the position would be open for the remainder of the term, which would be one additional year, and that would be voted on as a slot for select board at town meeting. Any questions? Then we're gonna proceed with that as a process.
This vacancy as well. What maybe we should post it, we should have that session.
Yeah. Who was on?
somebody moved out of town,
Yeah,
I think.
someone moved out of town.
End of May.
Yeah. One more announcement. There is a vacancy with the trustee of the trust funds. Linda Guerin had, I believe, moved out of town, which created the vacancy. So I thought I had heard, but we'll, find out that there might be someone who would be interested in the interim until someone could be appointed. But that is a select board appointment, so that will also need to be posted to fulfill the position that's open on the trustee of the trust funds. We'll also look into whether or not there's, someone who we could appoint on an interim basis. Committee assignments, I know that might be an issue in light of Mr. Morgan's no longer being on the board. I believe he was the rec designee, I think select board?
With the select board.
I'm sorry, school committee,
School board?
school board.
It's one of those nights.
I know. Well, or we can, defer on that until we get the next.
When's the next school board meeting? When's the next rec meeting?
Next school board meeting is on Monday.
This Monday?
Mhm.
And when's the next rec meeting?
I know when they typically are. I don't know who's gonna be in charge of rec in the interim of us having a rec director. It's the 24th.
I mean, I'm open to deferring it until we get.
Well, what time Monday is school board normally?
I can fill in for rec while someone,
Okay.
And if school board's at 6, I can do Monday.
Okay. Perfect.
And then we'll have the position filled by the
correct.
next meeting.
Yep. Perfect.
Technically, if it's the 20-something, we should have the
We should
position
probably
filled for
have
that.
But just in
Yeah.
case, I'll take it, just in case.
Yep. Okay. Was there anything else with committee assignments? Okay. All right, old business. Before we get to COLA, I see update on fiscal year 2024. Was that covered by the report?
Yeah, I just didn't realize that 2024 wasn't done yet. So I wanted to let the board know.
Um, Under regular business as well, there's a KRT contract extension, which I believe we all signed. So that contract extension runs from.
That wasn't
Oh,
actually not for KRT,
No, that
that's
was
for the
assessor.
assessing
That's for the
company.
assessing company. Thank you.
We do
Whitney.
need to sign one for KRT, that would go along with the MS1 extension. That,
Do we have an extension
yeah,
from them?
yeah.
All right. Why don't we look into that and table it for now? I don't think there's any urgency there.
Not as long as we can do it before, as long as we do it next week.
We make sure we have that extension presented to us for next time. So why don't we now move to the COLA policy? So last time, and Letty had passed out or had emailed an annual cost of living adjustment policy, which states as follows: it is the intention of the Select Board to ensure that employee compensation stays even with the rate of inflation. To that end, barring extenuating budgetary circumstances, all town employees will get an annual pay increase of no less than the federal Social Security COLA for the same year, typically announced the fall prior. Prior to the start of the meeting, I had passed out an alternative proposal, which I'll read and states as follows. While recognizing that the present board may not bind future select boards and that there is an existing tax cap of 4%, it remains the intent of this select board to adjust for annual cost of living the wage of town employees by the rate of the federal Social Security COLA, but in no event shall the COLA increase exceed 2.5%. Additionally, in the event that budgetary circumstances do not permit a COLA increase, the Select Board reserves the right to not provide an annual COLA increase as it deems necessary. The reason why I had put together this alternative is that I felt that the language as written in the other proposal had a number of mandates in it. For example, ensure and will get an annual pay increase, and I felt in part that this should be indicated as an intent, but not to bind future select boards, and also give us and reserve us the right, as we deem necessary, not to provide the increase. I also had added the 2.5% because I felt that given the tax cap, I was concerned about a Social Security, tying this to Social Security, understanding that in 2025, 2.5% was the rate, but if you go to 2024, it was 3.2%, 2023, 8.7%, 2022, 5.9%, and then in 2021, 1.3%. So it seems to jump all over the place, and I felt that with a tax cap of 4%, I thought that 2.5%, not to exceed, seemed a reasonable compromise and approach. So we have these two proposals before us. We can vote for either of them, or we can vote for neither of them. I'll be willing to take discussion.
In terms of the language that you felt was binding, all the board has to do to change this is just vote to not do it. We don't need language that says that. We can add or remove this policy with a simple vote of the board.
Right, but I think when you use language such as all town employees will get an annual pay increase of no less than the federal Social Security COLA, and where we're talking about it's the intent to ensure staying even with the rate of inflation, it sets an expectation. So for us to set that expectation and then just merely vote it away,
But that's exactly what we can do.
we can, but I just don't think that that's, as appropriate to do, and it sets an expectation that I think is potentially unrealistic. So that's why I tried to tweak the language in the
Can
manner
you
that I did.
explain why you feel it's unrealistic?
Why, what is unrealistic?
I don't know, you said you felt like it was unrealistic, so I was wondering which part you felt like was unrealistic.
It's potentially unrealistic if, for example, you have COLA amounts that end up being greater than what we are able to ultimately afford. So I think that, component of it ends up being
So-
unrealistic and sets expectations that may not be realistic.
I think, for me, my perspective is that if we are not meeting federal COLA, which is what they deem as the rate of inflation, then we are paying our employees less. If the federal government is deciding that due to inflation, they need to adjust what Social Security is, it feels equivalent that we also increase the rate of pay for our employees, or else their money is gonna be worth less every year.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, I mean, we're not talking about this as being the only increase for employees, but employees would get
What
this, would get this automatically as a COLA increase, and then would get a merit increase as deserved in addition to that. So I think the 2.5% is in recognition of there being a 4% tax cap, so that seemed to be a reasonable, compromise approach to me.
I think for the most part, both of them say the same thing. It's just that, I'm in agreement with Paul that I think the other one might tie our hands a little bit more, has the potential to tie our hands a little bit more. We want to make sure that we support, our workers, our staff, but at the same time, if there is an issue, that's why I had the issue before.
Well, that's-
I don't want to, yeah, I know.
I mean, if there's an
but-
issue, we can just vote to over, yeah.
I know. I like the wording a little bit better on Paul's, only because I feel as though, it covers us. I do like a little bit of a cap there because, to go from 1.7% or 1.8% to 8.3%, that's a big jump.
That's because inflation was huge that year, though.
I know, but
That's the
like he
point.
said, but like he said, it's not the only rate of increase that our town employees could.
So I was not aware that we were going to create a merit structure for employees to get raises. This is the only, you saying that does not mean that that's a thing that any other board ever has to do. I was trying to create something that would be independent of any specific members of the board, so that we weren't going to go through years and years and years of stagnant wages just to have to do a giant adjustment at the end again.
But this is, as I understand it, Letty, this is a COLA an annual cost of living adjustment. I'm assuming that, you know, if a department head feels that, you know, their employee deserves something more than a COLA, then they will, you know, provide that as long as it fits, you know, within their budget and fits within the tax cap.
Over the past few years, we've done COLA and merit, not to exceed a certain number.
Right.
My only objection to Paul's wording is the cap. In a competitive job market, I don't know if we want to put in our employee handbook that your COLA will never exceed 2.5%. That is my only objection. I'm good with the wording, I just don't like the cap.
The cap at 2.5%.
Yes.
Yeah, again, the reason for that is that, you know, we're dealing with, you know, a budgetary
Cap.
you know, cap that we have to, you know, acknowledge exists. So I don't know how we can have COLA increases that may, in some years, increase greater than what the cap is.
Then we don't have increases in other places to account for it. I think that's our job as the board.
I think in the years that there was an 8% COLA, we were giving 14 and 15% raises to readjust people with market rate. So, I mean, we did give 8%, 10%, 12% raises those years because everybody was so far behind post-COVID. I understand your thought process, but my thought process is trying to be able to hire employees. That's all.
You don't think offering a COLA, even with a 2.5%, not to exceed 2.5%, does that?
No.
Doesn't do that?
I think, if I had the choice of going to a town that capped my raise at 2.5 or left it open-ended,
Yeah,
and everything was the same, I would go to someplace that was open-ended.
sure. But this isn't meant to cap a raise. This is just meant to cap a cost of living adjustment.
I understand.
Excuse me, folks, if you can quiet down in the audience. I'm trying to, thank you.
I don't disagree with your position. I'm just saying it in a hiring problem, like, everybody has a need, like, police and fire, it's almost like dealing cards of where somebody's gonna go. One minute they're here, the next minute they're there. It's not like when I grew up and you grew up and,
I haven't grown up.
yeah, you worked for a company for 30 years and you were there. Now it's not like that anymore. It's wherever the bigger, better deal is, and there's a lot of bigger, better deals out there in town government. One day you're the high paid, the next day you're on the bottom of the totem pole. It's crazy how it is out there right now.
I mean, my concern about leaving it open-ended is that we set an expectation that ends up being beyond what our tax cap is.
Well, not really, because your thing says, if the budget can't handle it, we're not gonna do it. It says it. Like, we're just not putting that, we're automatically gonna cap it. We're gonna say that the budget can't do it, we're not gonna do it.
Or we put in wording that, you know, that we reserve the right to, you know.
Oh, that's what it says, the select board reserves
That's
the
what
right
both
not to
of ours
provide an
say.
annual COLA.
Does say select board reserves the right to not provide an annual COLA. What Andy is, I think, suggesting is that it not have the cap of 2.5%.
Well, why not cap it where our at 4%, not to exceed 4%? You just don't want the cap because you think that, I understand what you're saying, you know? And we can adjust as necessary, as long as we have that ability to do so.
We do, it just, again, I'm concerned about setting expectations that may end up being unrealistic. Would you be open to putting that in at 4%? As not to exceed 4%?
I would be okay with that. I don't like it there. I think it would be better off that
Then why
when the
don't
time
you
comes,
not
like,
vote
if
for it?
COLA is 8%, we go like, hey, can we afford this? Or is this necessary? But
Or we say, you know, we can only afford 3% right now.
right.
I mean, as long as it doesn't tie our hands, I'm fine. I just don't want to see us get into trouble.
Well, I'd accept an amendment on my language to, for it to say not to exceed 4%. If you wanted to amend,
I'm not gonna vote for anything that has a number.
you're entitled to do that.
I know,
or-
I'm just letting you know.
Yep.
Because I think Andy's probably right, that I think we're worse off tying our hands that we can't go above a number than tying our hands to we have to do something. Because we could be in a situation where we want to go higher, and then the way that we're gonna have to do that within the tax cap is we look for other places we cut. That's the whole point of the tax cap, is that we choose as a board where we think we need to increase and where we think we need to decrease to cover for it. We have to make choices.
I mean, this could be revised by future boards anyways, which is why I
Yeah.
thought we also had the discussion at some earlier meeting to, let this go to a warrant and the voters, which I thought we were at some point
Mhm.
until this was brought back on the table.
That was when I was under the impression that we couldn't do this.
If we go to a warrant, then we can't change it.
True.
Yeah.
True,
So
true.
I'm okay with no cap on it, as long as we can, and that, the town employees understand that we want to do the right thing. We want to support them, we want to give them a COLA equal to Social Security, but we just don't want to tie our hands with a must, because that could potentially be scary. So,
I move we adopt Paul's language, striking, but in no event shall the COLA increase exceed 2.5%.
Second. It's up to
After we're done with discussion at the board. There was a second to that.
Yeah, I seconded it.
Is there any further discussion here before I go to public comment? So public comment.
The motion is to adopt the language of while recognizing that the present board may not bind future select boards and that there is an existing tax cap of 4%, it remains the intent of the select board to adjust the annual cost of living wages of town employees by the rate of the federal Social Security COLA. Additionally, in the event that budgetary circumstances do not permit a COLA increase, the select board reserves the right not to provide an annual COLA increase as it deems necessary.
Sure. Mark Kennedy, Prescott Road. I would certainly prefer not to have a cap on anything. I think by capping that, all your employees are listening, and they've heard it loud and clear that you want to do the right thing when you can do the right thing. If you don't want to go by the strict rules of COLA, that's fine. But putting a cap on it's even worse. I take that as a measure of you don't want to do the right thing when you can do the right thing. That's what a cap tells me. I'd rather have it open-ended. I find it worse that if you don't want to adopt a strict COLA policy, that's completely within your purview, and that's fine. But don't mince words and put caps on things and try to make it something that it's not. Especially when you have years when you have an 8%, right? Those are the worst years for people. And basically you're gonna cap that. So I would personally rather see no cap at all. And if you don't want to adopt a COLA policy, then just vote no on that and just leave it at that.
Yeah, and I know you're looking at me, and
Mhm.
again, my response to that is that this was, a compromise on my part, thinking that we have a cap that we're dealing with, and also understanding that this is not necessarily the only increase that an employee would get, that this is merely a COLA adjustment. So in my world, and again, I've been in private business all my life, I mean, we don't, it's all based on, merit and how, the employees are doing, as opposed to COLAs. But I'm certainly willing to recognize, a COLA, and this was at least a compromise on my part, just as.
No, I respect you.
Explanation.
I respect you, Paul, 100%. We can agree to disagree. That's what
Yeah.
gentlemen do.
Yeah. And we do have a proposal on the table from Andy, who I've, heard, and I think we've all, heard as well, so.
Yeah, but I think it's important that we advocate. That's why this microphone is here. That's why public comment's here.
Yep.
So we can advocate.
So we invited you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Come on up.
Thank you. Melissa Litchfield, Eleanor's Way. Probably a rhetorical question because I have a list I want to get through in under 3 minutes, but I am curious how often this is done, how many towns do this, how many employers do this, and I'm just really curious why we're not just putting something in the handbook, letting our employees know how much we value them. I would be very disappointed if someone ran for BudCom or Select Board and they did not value the town employees. As far as putting something like this out there, I have several concerns because, in my opinion, you don't just represent the employees. You represent 4,600 residents. Bring it to town meeting. A tax cap was just voted in March. We had a write-in win for Select Board. When the hell does that ever happen? And the person won by quite a bit. On top of that, we have employees that I respect, and I like all of our employees, but lately I've been hearing over and over again, your employees are watching, your employees are listening. It's making me very uncomfortable. That's it. Thank you.
Part of discussion, so go ahead.
Sure. In terms of how often this happens in other municipalities, I think a lot of times it's tied to a union. And so you might not be aware of that. I know at the school, that's how it works. There's collective bargaining that, and so I know for a lot of municipalities, some of the larger departments have a collective bargaining agreement. As far as just putting something in the employee handbook saying that we appreciate them, the way that you show employees that you appreciate them is you pay them. They're doing this for money. Us as a board, these are not volunteer positions. These are positions that are paid. We want these people to stay here. So to what Andy said earlier, if we aren't doing things to make this an attractive place to live, then you won't have firefighters and police officers and EMTs. That's where I, as a board member, feel like that's important for the taxpayers. If the taxpayers don't want those services, they're welcome to let us know.
Can you, I'm sorry.
It's
come
not,
on up.
I'm not,
So we can hear what you said, because it's important.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Mr. Chair. I feel as though lately it's become common where we hear things like the employees are going to leave, they're going to quit.
They have been leaving.
You're
So
threatening your,
we're
and
not
that's not why. Stop. We had a couple that were in the newspapers, and all of the information is non-public because we can't know why. You and I both know there's plenty
That's
of other
not who I'm
things.
talking about.
Stop.
But that's not who I'm talking about.
I'm just saying, I think, as an elected official myself, I represent 15,000 people. Why wouldn't you just wait until March and take it to the voters? You don't even have a full select board right now. You only have 4 to 5, and you're going to make this decision. Why on earth wouldn't you take it to the voters in March and let them decide? They're the ones that ultimately pay this. And you know what? I can tell you right now, they do appreciate our employees. They love it. Mark Kennedy, he grew up here. Daphne lives in town. People love our
But
employees.
they don't work for free. We have to pay
Yeah, they
them.
don't. Have you looked at the town report lately?
Yes. I wrote it.
Okay, thank you. I mean, one,
Just 2 more comments.
yep, please.
To Mark's point, I would support not having a COLA policy rather than the cap. And to Melissa, I won as a write-in 17 and a half years ago. And I've been here ever since.
Will you give
No.
it as an incumbent chair? Did you,
I still won as a write-in.
did you run
But to-
against the incumbent
Excuse me,
chair?
hold on. I mean, to that point, when you say you would, say you,
I would rather not have a COLA policy than put a cap on it.
well, I mean, maybe then, and that's where we were at the beginning of all of this, which is, not to have a policy per se, but if there was,
Because
Yeah,
this
to-
is just a feel-good thing.
I agree.
100%.
And that's why you.
At
had
the
su-
end of the
and
day,
that's-
it means nothing.
And that's why you had suggested, at the beginning to bring this to, town meeting and see what the town, would say. And there is a point to be made too. We're a board of 4. I mean, maybe we would want to even defer, any further discussion until we have a 5th. So I don't know. Those are all points. Yes.
Liz Faria, South Road again. I think this is just hot air. It's not enforceable, so I think you're wasting your time on it. And I do not think we have a very, half the town employees have recently left. I do not believe that they're leaving for greater compensation. I believe they're leaving because of a lack of leadership, primarily at this very table. So I think you should think about that. Are all of our former town employees, the jobs, are they posted on the website now? Is there posting for town administrator? Is there posting for rec person? Is there posting for building? Is there posting for code enforcement? By the way, John Gary resigned from rec, so you also have an opening on rec.
Talking about town employees.
Yeah,
So
but you were also talking about committees and,
No, we're talking about
Okay.
employees.
so are they, all of those current employees that have left,
Julian?
are they
please?
all posted?
the town administrator position is posted and the code enforcement / building inspector position is posted. The rec position and the welfare positions will be posted first thing tomorrow morning, like we just discussed.
Thank you.
Okay, and the one other thing is, did the town administrator get a severance package?
That's,
We're talking about this.
yeah, that's, outside the scope of what we're talking about, and it's also,
Okay, so we'll have more public comment later, right?
I think, Jim, before, I think Janet had her hand first, so, sorry.
Janice, speaking from the library, as another employee input. I know it's not valued as much as people who live in town, but I do work for the town. I work here because I really appreciate my position. I love what I do, and I love doing it for the people.
Thank you.
However, I do have a mortgage to pay. I do have car payment. I do have bills, just like everybody else. And I think that's what we're forgetting. It's not that we're looking to, take money out of the hands of our people. I for one, have great relationships with the people at my place. My patrons, I care about them and I worry about them, and I don't like to see them go without. but I can't work here if I can't pay my bills. I'm not asking for any particular amount. What we've always done before is the select board comes up with a number each year that they feel is a reasonable number. And then we try to build a budget around that number or somewhere around there. And then it goes to BudCom and gets approved there. That process is, I feel, what Letty's trying to do, except she's just trying to acknowledge that by putting something in place that says, you know, there is a Social Security number, and that's because of inflation. Have you gone grocery shopping lately? It's not inexpensive. And on top of that, you know, we have obligations in our job to continue our education for some of us. And, you know, we don't take that lightly. So I just want to say, as an employee, it's just very difficult to always be, or to feel as though there isn't any respect for what we do. And I feel badly that a lot of people are leaving, but I will tell you, it's not been easy this last year to hear the kinds of things I keep hearing. So take it for what it's worth.
I think
2
this
cents,
board-
maybe
I
it's a
think-
penny.
Yeah, I think this board highly values the staff and the employees here. I mean, I'm here on a regular basis, letting them know that, and I think the people who are here would attest to that. I'm going to take one more comment. The last
just-
comment I saw was Jim Hajar.
Can
so-
I just say that I do think my patrons really appreciate us. I just don't always know if others do.
Thank you. Last comment.
Jim Hager, 33 Mohawk Lane, just speaking for myself. I actually commend Letty. I know what she's trying to do here. We are, as a town, we provide services to the residents, and we appreciate those services. And the way those services get rendered is with our employees. So the town employee is our most important resource. In fact, it's probably it's by far the most important resource. So I get what she's trying to do here. I just think that, like a lot of, you've already said this, legally it's not binding. I don't, how do you really word this in a way that is going to, again, tell the workers we're going to do the best we can, given a tax cap, given whatever budget scenario situations we have, and I just wanted to finally end it with, you keep talking about salary only, wages only, but compensation is much bigger than that. So if you want to look at comparing, how our workers are doing to other people, yeah, you could look at the salary of different roles that they're playing in different towns or similar towns. But I also think you have to look at the compensation ratio, because if you're going to look at the COLA, which is just the Social Security number they give to the seniors, right? Like, you're not taking into account if health insurance goes up 15% in that year. Well, the town contribution goes up. So I'm just saying, like, compensation is bigger than just salary. And I recommend, if anybody's interested in that, Monday at our budget meeting, I will be giving a review. I did an analysis of the compensation ratios for the town of Brentwood, comparing it to the labor statistics standards. So I'll be sharing that on Monday night. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So,
Just a point to Jim's point.
Yeah.
If our rates go up 15%, so does the employee's rate. So, because they pay a certain percentage of their health care unless they're a single person. And yeah.
So I think we had a motion that had amended the language in my proposal. It had been seconded. I don't know if we want to vote on that, or if we're at a point of, withdrawing that and just, letting this go to town meeting.
I will withdraw my motion until we have a full board.
I think it's worth mentioning that I was also just trying to have a more predictable descriptor around what COLA might be, whereas in past years, the select board just kind of got to make it up.
I think we've had very healthy and robust discussion to this point.
Well, most years, ladies, we've asked our financial people what the cost of living rate was and then set the COLA off of that. So I don't think we pulled a magic number from the air. We asked the trustees of the trust funds to come up with a,
Yes, but those numbers got filtered through other people before they got to the select board. And so that's why I was thinking taking the question out of it might be helpful.
So I also will second Andy's thing. Let's just remove it for now.
A motion to table,
Table it.
which that was in essence your motion.
well, I withdrew my motion.
Withdrew, and then I think you had
So-
also proposed a motion to table?
Yes.
Okay. Second.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I also just want to make another statement, Paul. I'm sorry, but
Okay.
I think it's very unfair for anyone to suggest that there's anyone in this board that doesn't appreciate our town employees. I very much appreciate, and I know that all of us do. It has nothing to do with appreciation. It has everything to do with finances and making sure that we're being fiscally responsible to our town. Simple as that. So, thank you.
Appreciation doesn't pay the bills. That's all.
We can go back and forth on this. We've reached a point of public comment. I would ask that public comment not be duplicative of what we've already spoken about. And that if there's something new that someone wants to comment about that hasn't already been stated, or someone hasn't had a chance to comment, as opposed to individuals who have commented more than a couple of times, then now's your time. Okay.
Liz Faria, South Road, what is the process for hiring new town employees? Like, how does it work? Like, pick somebody, town administrator, how does that go? Do you have a committee? Like, how many people pick her? We have a process, right?
There's not a formalized process. I can tell you how the process worked last time, where myself and Mr. Morgan had interviewed many candidates who had put in their resume and application, and we had filtered down those candidates to who we thought were the top candidates. We then brought that to the full board. The full board made some determination on who they wanted to interview as the final candidates, and then that happened. We also brought in individuals from other departments as part of that interviewing process as well. So I would anticipate that we would go through a comparable process this time around, although I'm open to, changing that process.
So the two initial interviewers were you and John Morgan.
Correct.
So I would strongly suggest, since we value our employees, that people that work closely with, I'm just taking the town administrator as the most important and the one that we're most, that we have like Jillian and Daphne sit in on the initial ones as well. I think it can't just be a select board,
I mean,
pick. It's your pick overall at the end of the day.
We did that at the time because it was, there was a certain level of efficiency to do it that way, as opposed to bringing in 4 or 5 people. So when we got to a point where we felt we had good candidates, then we brought in others into the process. I thought that was reasonable. But again, I am certainly open to however this board wants that process to go forward this time.
I just think it needs to be a little bit broader and a little bit more,
We heard you.
yeah,
We understand.
more inclusive, because we haven't done a very good job in the last couple of years.
I would answer that question since it's out there in public.
Go ahead. Oh, This one?
The
Question.
Severance.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There was a question earlier with regard to severance. It is out there in public. I don't want it hanging out there in public. The answer is no.
But you did give one to the former, two former.
We're not going back into formers, the
Okay.
answer is no.
Okay.
Okay. At this point, is there,
Doug just raised his hand.
oh, public comment. Yes. Mr. Finnan.
Doug Finnan, Gove Road. I apologize, don't want to hold up anybody. It was asked by two of my neighbors that a while back, the Select Board was entertaining and had a subcommittee in reference to co-op for electricity, and asked where we stood on that. And I drew a blank, so I was wondering if we could at least revisit that, not necessarily now, or get a comment on it for them.
So if I remember correctly, the rate that the coalition could provide was higher than the current utilities could give, so it stalled out for the time being because
Okay.
it wasn't worth the town getting into something because nobody's wanted to pay more than.
Than the default.
It's
That's my
because the town
understanding
has
as
three
well.
different
So
suppliers.
if they're watching,
So it was
you just
better
got your
for two
answer.
of them.
Thank you.
Okay.
But we still do have an energy and efficiency committee, correct?
I don't know that they've met in some period of time, and I think that was sort of the last, and, it does leave me to wonder how long that's going to be hanging out there for.
Well, I mean, rates are going up, so I mean, it might be something to
Revisit.
revisit.
Committee updates? Anyone?
I have nothing.
I was lucky enough to go to the fire station last week and visit with the new off-road tanker. It's a fantastic unit. It's been completely rebuilt, and it's a very valuable asset. And it's been completely rebuilt. It's worth a lot of money, and my hat goes off to Roy, Deputy Chief Roy, that he was able to do this for us. All we have to do is paint it and do a couple modifications to it, and it'll be very helpful to our town.
Excellent. Anything, Letty?
I just want to get out there that the letters went out to everybody about their preliminary property assessment change. A lot of people have had questions about it, and I know that you mentioned this last time, and Daphne, I think, is not here, but I think something got posted on the town website. This will not be applied to the current tax rate. We will be setting a new tax rate that will not be this one. If you feel like you would like to disagree with your preliminary valuation, you should call the number on the letter. And I am just gonna say preliminary again because there will be a second stage where they go out to all the properties and measure them and check to make sure that things that have done were recorded on their cards, so.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of talk on social media right now. There's a lot of buzz. There's a lot of concern. And people need to understand that the tax rate is not done yet, so.
Oh, and it says that in the letter too,
Right.
but people see that number and freak out. I think.
Yep.
And the number at the end of the day also, has to be compared to what the average is for the entire town. Yes. We're on committee updates, but okay. Well,
No, this just goes along with that. The letter also said that if you were disputing it or you had questions, you only had till the 5th to call. September 5th, I believe, was the date they put on there.
Okay.
So that might be something to put out there also.
September 5. Don't be late. Was it anything else? Okay. Planning Board, we had the initial application of the property on Route 125 next to Brentwood Power, where everyone has seen all of the equipment that is out front at that property. I can tell you that the equipment went up there without site approval from the planning board, but the planning board is attempting to get compliance by requiring that they proceed with a site approval plan. That was initially submitted. There is a site walk scheduled for next Saturday at 9 o'clock. I know one of the major issues, because of how that presents itself right on the highway, is going to be the shielding of that equipment. There were other issues as well. I expressed some real displeasure at that meeting in terms of the process, because I felt there was a level of bad faith in terms of how that equipment ended up there without there being a approved site plan. But I also, thought that the planning board had a process in place for purposes of obtaining compliance. So, here we are, and we're going to go through that process. I don't know if Mark or Doug had any further comment, with regard to that?
Just clarification that this Saturday.
That's what, yeah, this Saturday, yeah.
So we have that preliminary site plan in from 1 Smith Road. Comment letters have gone out, have come in from Glenn Greenwood and TEC, the engineering group. They're working on that updated site plan right now, and they are on the schedule for the second meeting in September. Coming up this meeting this Thursday, we have Mastriano Group, 180 Route 125 for some contractor garages. That's where 603 Auto is now. The contractor garages will be going out in back of that. Big meeting coming up on this Thursday. We have Resilience Design and Engineering coming in and to talk about the updated ordinances regarding workforce housing, ADU ordinances. We need to update those ordinances because of the state of New Hampshire's new RSA rules regarding those. Multifamily as well. I will have that agenda up tomorrow.
Thank you. All right. At this time, we've reached the end of committee updates and public comment. We do have some non-public to deal with, so I would take a motion to go into non-public under 91A3, 2A and B for hiring and personnel.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much for coming. We'll take 5 minutes.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.